as our Gabbai Sheni, and of course, our Bat Mitzvah, Noa Robertson. And I also want to acknowledge Rabbi Pamela Gottfried, who's with us this morning on Zoom, who helped prepare Noah along with me for today's service. Most of us are gathered on Zoom this morning, and so I just wanted to say out loud that while our lives are again changing in relationship to this pandemic, sometimes rapidly and sometimes slowly, we still find ourselves in liminal time and liminal space, where we are making the best choices with the best information we can. And so we continue to adapt to our circumstances. And while we miss being together with all of you in person, we are so fortunate to have technology that allows us to gather this way and to bring people from all over into one space together. And so as we prepare for more adaptations in the future, who knows what will happen? But today, this is our reality. And as we live with the coronavirus affecting our lives, our expectations for this day have changed. And so we breathe together to recognize that it is sacred to grieve all of the little and big losses. I know how much Noah would love to be with you in person, and so I hope that there are ways that we can find an ability to communicate our love and our care for her. And despite our grief and perhaps disappointment, they need not be our only feelings that we have today. Where we are, it is a beautiful day. We continue to be resilient as a community and as a people, and as you can see, there is much to celebrate. So I invite you to celebrate with us. You might notice, and particularly members of Congregation Beit Chaverim, that we have manifested one of these adaptations and changes. Given that we're all vaccinated in this room, I am joyfully, for the first time, leading in the room with the family. And while I hope that this is something that can continue to occur as we adapt and change, we will, at Beit Chaverim, examine each situation case by case, and our hope is to be as present as circumstances allow while ensuring that our membership is safe. So just as we acknowledge these losses, let us celebrate this gain by saying the Shechianu together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. And you'll be able to see that in the chat. Blessed are you, source of life, who has given us life, who has sustained us, and who has allowed each of us to arrive at this very moment. Amen. Amen. And so by way of celebrating, let's get used to this platform by giving Noah some loving energy, perhaps with our hands, maybe some words of encouragement in the chat. I'll tell you, having worked with so many Britot Mitzvah over these years, your words of encouragement mean a great deal. So as we think about this morning, a few guidelines, and I promise we'll get started. This coronavirus has brought the advent of the long preamble, the service before the service. But I want to invite us to let go of perfectionism. Judaism is never about being perfect. It really is about being in the moment and being present and being open. And so this is an adventure. Not all of us are well acquainted or comfortable with technology. And so I invite in that spirit to join this adventure with us. We can explore together. It's okay if you get lost. The staff will help you find your way. Be gentle with yourselves and with us this morning as we're leading services in this space essentially for the first time. For those of you who have a hardcover prayer book, if you have it, please feel free to use it. Or there's a link to the virtual Siddur that we've sent out. One of the challenging things is I think that the way that the PDF works is that we're about 20 pages off. So if you add 20 pages to the number I'm announcing, that will help a little bit more with the PDF. You see the link in the chat right now. The chat function, it's really great. I want to encourage people to lean in this morning. We appreciate your insights. There may be opportunities or times to share your memories that you have shared with Noah and the Robertson family. We would love to be able to see and hear them together. There are ways where you might want to connect individually or privately. And certainly, if there are any questions, logistical questions, particularly if you have a role in the service this morning, if you see Congregation Beit Chaverim, the person who's helping orchestrate everything behind the scenes is Haley, and you can directly chat with her by clicking on Congregation Beit Chaverim in the chat and sending any questions you have. Lastly, I want to invite you, even though we may not be able to hear you, to sing with us. And for some of us, that's better when no one can hear us, right? So I want you to embrace it. When we see each other sing on screen, it still invites that connection. And most importantly, it gives Noah the sense that she is not just up here performing a service, but joining together and leading for the entire community. And so, and there'll be moments in the service where perhaps if you're receiving a song, I invite you just to let the melody hold you. So with that, I'm going to invite us to start our service with this melody that invites us to always place what is most important in front of us, the ability to be present and the sense of divine love. Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Boker Tov, thank you, Will. What a beautiful way to begin. We turn to page 141 as Noah and then our lay cantor lead us this morning as we join our physical space with this virtual space with the words of Ma Tovu, connecting with all of our ancient spaces throughout time.
Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov,
Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael.
So friends, good morning. Want to invite folks who have just arrived. It's so good to be with you. Welcome to Congregation Beit Haverim. I want to share a little bit about our Torah portion this morning, which is Parshat Naso. In this Torah portion, which is complicated, and I'm not surprised, Noah, that you have chosen to address and speak about one of the more complicated pieces. But I want to bring our focus this morning to the best known part of this Torah portion, and in fact, one of the most ancient parts of our ritual tradition, which is that in this Torah portion, Noah, as you'll be chanting, is the priestly blessing. And so in thinking about the priestly blessing this morning, it was the first ancient liturgical text that was found by archaeologists from the First Temple period. And in many ways, Noah, it was seen in that time as a way to literally offer protection for people. People wore them as amulets, like jewelry, and it was also sometimes inscribed on headstones as a way to protect people on their final journey. And for us, it is something that we continue to bless our communities and our families regularly. And there is a commentary that I found from the Kli Yakar that speaks about the second line that I want to address with you. It says, "May God cause God's face to shine upon you and show you grace." The Hebrew word, the Kli Yakar points out, upon you, translates as elecha, but it literally means to you. And so he understands this to be not that God is communicating above or from below, but really eye to eye. In so many ways, that's what becoming a Brit Mitzvah is all about. You are being seen by the community in a way eye to eye. That as we've seen you grow up as a child, that there is a way where we now recognize both the child that you still are and the adult that you're becoming, as you'll hear me say in a blessing later on. But it recognizes that there is importance that you add to the community, and we want to be able to engage and to receive that well. One of the ways that we symbolize your entering into this moment is by presenting you with a prayer shawl, with the talits. And so it is my pleasure to invite your grandmother Paula to present you with your talit this morning. Good morning, Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning. Shabbat Shalom to you. Noah, congratulations on your coming of age. I am honored to be here today to present your talit, which is the rabbi stated is so important to you. I love you, Noah, and I'm sure I speak for all of your family, for your great-grandmother and your grandparents, of course your parents, your great aunts and uncles, and your cousins, and your many friends who are watching today. When I say that we are all so proud of you, you're blessed to be surrounded by family that loves you so much. You worked hard. I saw you study hard and go to meetings to prepare for this day, and your tenacity and your steadfast devotion have benefited you in this time. And so I hope for you today that the love that we all feel for you today, like the talit, will fall gently like a mantle on your shoulders to warm your heart, so that when we are no longer here to cheer you on, the memories of this day as you look back on it and of our love will serve as a springboard for you to strengthen you and to always remind you to love yourself, to trust yourself, and to advocate for yourself. Your enthusiasm and occasional stubbornness will serve you well in this life and sometimes get you in a little bit of trouble. But I believe your strong faith and your determination will inspire you to never give up. I wish you a lifetime filled with joy, success, and happiness. I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. So, Noah Yael, I present your tali.
So friends, for those of us who have not yet put on our talit this morning, I'm going to invite us to do so as Noah leads us in the blessing. Yesher koach, that was beautiful, Paula. Noah, if you'll say the blessing with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef batzitzit. Amen. So Noah, one of the things that I was planning to say to you later on, but I think I'm going to say to you now, is that you and I have done a lot, we've conspired a lot of schemes throughout the years together. And so there is a way where the playfulness that both of us share shines through, and that this morning we have a task of leading a service. And so that there are ways where it's going to be completely fine to break out into laughter, because that is, you know, if we had a love language, it would be that kind of playfulness and laughing. And so I want to just say that laughter is holy, and I also want to invite us in moments to connect to the groundedness underneath us, to breathe, and to know that you can be however you need to be. So friends, as we continue, we're going to turn to page 150 for our morning kavanah, and then we will follow that on the next page with morning blessings led by our lay cantor. Please join me in reading in the English, if you're following in the prayer book with me, this intention for our morning. For the sake of the union of the Blessed Holy One with the Shekhinah, I stand here ready in body and mind to take upon myself the mitzvah. You shall love your fellow human being as yourself. And by this merit, may I open up my mouth. We find our morning blessings on the following page.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who gives the bird of dawn discernment to tell day from night. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who stretches forth the earth upon the waters. Amen. Page 157. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who makes the blind to see. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who clothes the naked. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who makes the captive free. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who raises up the humble. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who makes firm a person's steps. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who acts for all my needs. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who girds Israel with strength. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who crowns Israel with splendor. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who made me in your image. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who made me free. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who made me of the people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei ha'olamim, who gives strength to the weary. Amen.
Friends, we find this soul recognizing the uniqueness of our breath and of our soul, our spirit. We join together in chanting Elohai Neshama on page 165.
Elohai
Neshama
Neshama
shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Tehorahi. Just as we recognize the preciousness of our breath and our soul and how it animates us to be unique and endows us with special gifts, each of our Britot Mitzvah have the opportunity to offer part of their gift back to the world in some way that speaks to them. And I've invited Noah to share a little bit about her Tikkun Olam project this morning. So Noah, would you share with us what you've done?
Yes. For the past 6 months, I've been fostering rat terriers because why not? And also, I love dogs and I love animals and I want to find them a caring, loving home. And while they cannot be cared for in a shelter, they can be cared for in our household. Therefore, I'm fostering dogs.
And so Noah, how many dogs have you fostered?
6.
So that is quite a large number.
And I am fostering one right now, and it's up for adoption if any of you are interested.
Maybe you can send out a picture to the listserv after?
Yes, yes.
One of the things that during our B'nai Mitzvah class, sometimes
Yeah.
your dogs would come in and we would get to say hello and they would learn some of the prayers with us. But my favorite is, would you talk about one of the dogs that you've been fostering who had a special connection to a part of your bat mitzvah?
Oh, yeah. So there is this dog that I'm fostering right now, and of course it's up for adoption still. Just a reminder. And whenever I chanted Torah, she would sit on my lap or sit next to me, and she would love listening to Torah and chanting with me. And it was a very special connection and interesting. Like, I don't know if this has ever happened to anyone, but it felt very special to me. So
Awesome.
yes.
Well, I'm really, just want to say I'm proud of you and that it is such a wonderful thing to be able to offer a sense of care and support and to responsibly be the primary person taking care of these animals. So hopefully we'll get Molly adopted to a Torah-loving family, right? That would, so some of our laners out there, if you're looking for a new dog, I got to meet Gabby in class, and I said Gabby, Molly in class, and would love for her to have a great home. So friends, as we move to the next part of our service, Psuke de Zimra, just want to invite us to think about the purpose of this shift that the rabbis had in mind. And I think Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said it best, is that for us, when we connect to Psalms, our goal should be to live life in radical amazement, to get up in the morning and to look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. And that is the way that the rabbis wanted us to engage our mornings as they invited us to move through Psalms to open our eyes to see the world with that sense of awe. Please join us on 177 as Gayan leads us in Baruch She'amar.
Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Baruch She'amar v'haya olam, 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 Baruch she'amar Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo, Baruch hu, Baruch Shemo.
So friends, as we turn to page 209 for Tov L'Chodot, which is our Shabbat Psalm, Will Robertson is going to be co-leading with us through these Psalms. For those of you who are guests to our community, or if you are watching on YouTube, not only is he the father of our Bat Mitzvah this morning, but our chorus director. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, nagid baboker cha'atztecha, ve'emunatecha ba'ledon. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la ya l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, nagid baboker cha'atztecha, ve'emunatecha ba'ledon. We're going to hear Noah speak about a particular part of our Torah portion through the eyes and the lens of empowerment and what it means to be entering into Jewish adulthood as a woman in these times. For me, this psalm that Rabbi Shefa Gold composed invites us to recognize that we can balance our sense of strength and our divine song. And I think that part of the progression and the contribution that so many women rabbis have added to the tradition is really focusing on this importance of this kind of balance and inviting the divine song to move through us. Please join us in singing Ozi v'zimratya vayihi li lishua, which you'll find in the chat. Yeshua. We turn to page 215 for Esa Enai. Please join us in chanting Psalm 121.
Esa
El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Esa Enai El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. Esa Enai El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Hey! Esa Enai El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. So the psalm that we just sang invites us to look up to the mountains, particularly in times when we are seeking answers, are in a place of questioning what's next. This reading that would like to invite Noah's grandparents, Linda and Paul, to offer was offered during the inauguration, written by and offered by Amanda Gorman. Speaking about the hill we climb, the segment that Noah had to learn very well for school, that she chose for this morning, invites us to think about the kinds of mountains that we want to work towards. Not only should we look to the mountains, but there are many mountains that we still need to climb to find the answers we seek. And so with that, I'd like to invite Linda and Paul. I want to say good morning to you, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome from New York. And if you would read this poem.
Okay. Great. These are the lines that Noah selected from The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gordon. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped.
That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together, victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division.
Thank you so much. It's good to be with you. So friends, those last lines, not because we will never know defeat and not because we will never again sow division, underlines that sentiment that we are tied together, which is what this psalm means on page 231. Kol hanshama tahalel Yah, let every living thing sing Yah's praise.
I'll invite you to scoot over. You sing along. And all y'all sing along with this as well. There's only 4 words, and one of them is hallelujah. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Kohan Shema Te'aleluya. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah,
הנשמה תהלל יה, כל הנשמה תהלל יה, כל הנשמה תהלל יה. So friends, as we transition to our Shacharit service, we turn to page 245 as Noah leads us in the Chatzi Kaddish. For those of you who would like to rise, either in body or in spirit, please do so with us now.
Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'amad divarahute ve'amlich malhute
Hayechon v'yomechon uchayetecho Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kahariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach
le'am
Le'omea Yibarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabah v'yidbar v'yitraman v'naseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudashah
Brichu
le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata
Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'meru amen. We turn to page 247 for the Baruch Hu. Please join us in this call and response. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. If you're standing, you may be seated. Turn to page 247, the middle of the page, for Yotzer. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer ol v'rei choshech osei shalom v'rei et hakol. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, the Sovereign of all worlds, who fashions light and creates darkness, maker of peace and creator of all. Amen. I came across this notion that love is the reverberation of the divine voice through nature. And so when I think about this song that Will wrote that has become beloved in our community, and it speaks about that radical amazement and the sense of attuning ourselves to the beauty everywhere. For me, it is another way to be able to hear and acknowledge the divine connecting and speaking to us. And the very human emotions of this song, I think, are our response to hearing those reverberations. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Seems like the cost of life is so much higher than what we had saved. A sea of frost and ice is trying to bury us under its weight. Just you're so afraid. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. A few dozen years to hang around and take things past where they were when we came. Some fly away, some run aground, some spin in circles, but if it's all the same, I'd rather walk. Will you help me find flowers on the way? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. One of the blessings that leads us to the Shema is Ahava Rabba Avtanu. We are loved and abundant love. And so now I'm going to go off script for a moment and invite you to come over here. And this kind of idea of we are loved and unending love is one that I think is best embodied by just taking a moment. I invite you to look at my screen and just, we are on Spotlight Gallery over here. And so I want to invite all of you, one of the things that feels most challenging is the love that can feel so palpable in the room. Sometimes when you're leading a service with lots of cameras, it's hard to tune in. And so I want to invite you to see these faces as they beam and show you some love. Deepak Chopra teaches that divine spirit lives in each and every one of us, and that divine spirit is love. And so part of our task is to deeply love ourselves and to feel that sense of being enfolded in this unending love. And so we join together. Yep. We have dogs who are wishing, and so, of course, our dog keeper is noticing them. I want to invite our lay cantor Gayan to lead us in this chant as we celebrate this connection.
Ava Rabba Avtanu, Ava Rabba Avtanu, Ava Rabba Avtanu, Ava Rabba Avtanu. Ava Rabba Avtanu, 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 Ava Rabba Avtanu.
We turn to page 275 as we chant together V'ha'er Elenu. V'ha'ahir einenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yachei lehevavenu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha, v'lo nevosh, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora batachnu nagila v'nismecha, nagila v'nismecha b'shuvatecha. So we turn to page 277 for the Shema. One of the things about the priestly blessing in our Torah portion is the Kohanim had a particular hand motion that represented creating a shin for the name Shaddai. Noah has a tradition that she does with the Shema that I wanted to invite her to share some words, and I thought that there might be an interesting connection with the shin of this blessing and the shin of hers.
Well, Shema is a prayer about God and Israel. I don't really know the specifics, but like whenever I put a shin on my head, I'm not heroic or anything. This is normal. Whenever I put a shin on my head, it brings me peace, and it calms my whole body, and I like to close my eyes because it just I guess I just imagine that I'm in heaven with God, but I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Just I'm just saying, hey, what's up, God? Stuff like that. Yeah.
So if you would like to join Noah in this tradition, and I love that actually without necessarily knowing this connection, that kind of sense of protection, calm that the priestly blessing offers can also be offered by us creating a shin on our foreheads as well. So please join us as we chant the Shema on page 277.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'leftecha v'derech u'shafbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. We turn to the Michamocha, page 291. I want to invite us to join in this call and response that Amy and Will lead together.
Va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, nedar b'kodesh, Nora, tehilo, Moshe u'Miriam, anu ve'amu, Adonai yimlo, le'olam va'ed. Atah Adonai, God Yisrael.
Yeshkoach. Noah and I were taking a moment to look at all of the chat, and it brought her great joy to see all of your comments. We turn to page 295 as we move into our Amidah. Sur Yisrael, Kuma Ezrat Yisrael, Ufte Kumecha Yehuda veYisrael, Go Elenu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. As we turn to page 295, if you would like to rise and body your spirit, please do so with me. Adonai sifatai tita ufia gita hilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, and let my mouth declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Chatzei Avot V'Imot, U'mevii Gula Livnei B'neihem, Le'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Mayim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 299. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatahal, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Kol Chai Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Mikamocha Pal Gevurot, Umidom Hela, Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata l'chayot kol chai. Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei kol chai. We continue on page 303 with the Kedusha. Nekadesh et shimcha b'alam kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom. Kakatu v'yad neviecha v'kara ze'el ze v'yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melo kol haaretz kivodo. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melo kol haaretz kivodo. Az b'kol ra'ash gadol, adir v'chazak mashmi'im, kom tansim l'ntan serafim, v'mtan baruch yomeru. Baruch yevod Adonai min komo. Mikomecha malkeinu tofia, v'timloch aleinu kimechakim anachnu lach, v'tai timloch b'tzion, b'karov yamenu le'olam va'et tishkon. Titkadal v'tihit kadash, b'toch Yerushalayim irchaha, v'dor v'dor le'netzach netzachim, v'enenu tirena malchutecha, kadavar ha'amor b'shirei uzecha. Imloch Adonai le'olam Elohai Zion, Ledor vador, hallelujah. Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Nagid Gad lecha. Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Nagid Gad lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha, kedushatcha, nakdish, veheshivcha Eloheinu mihipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. Ki hamelech gadol v'kadosh ata, baruch ata Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. We continue silently to the bottom of page 323. Feel free to chant the traditional prayer or to take some contemplative silence, and we'll join together in a prayer for peace when we're all finished. So friends, in this fragile moment of ceasefire between the Israelis and the Palestinians, we pray for peace. And for the unrest in our country, we pray for peace. And for the unrest that we sometimes feel in our own souls, we pray for peace. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. So, as we transition to our Torah service, I wanted to invite someone who has had this experience before to offer some words of love, support, and encouragement. And so, Levi, if you will come and offer your sister some of your thoughts this morning. It's good to see you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Well, Noah, your day is...
Take that mic and put it a little closer to you.
All right. There you go. Well, Noah, your day is finally here. I feel like your first day of kindergarten was just yesterday, when you had that huge gap and a beaming smile. Very charming indeed. Aside from that, seeing you grow up throughout the years is a blast. All the trashy jokes about things that shouldn't be funny, but they are. Whenever you laugh, I can't help but do the same. You are always quick to see the best in people. Remember our old cat, Bones? Bones was a very mean cat who only liked Dad and was basically trying to annoy the rest of us into moving out of the house. One night at dinner, we were all complaining about the bad things she had done to us on that day. She would pee on our stuff and hiss and scratch and sit on our piece of paper and try to attack the pencil when we wrote anything. You were only 3 or 4 years old, and you interrupted the conversation and said, "Everyone stop and say one nice thing about Bones." You even come to the defense of the hateful cat. You will always let me off easy. Dad likes to tell a story of us being on vacation out in the country when we were little. I had hit you or taken your toy or something. You were sobbing miserably while Dad was telling me I needed to apologize. I really don't like to apologize, but I finally did. I said, "Sorry, Noah. Hey, look, there's a deer." You immediately stopped crying, and we ran over to the window together, and we were best friends again. I'm happy to say that I'm your brother, and I know we will have more hysterical adventures together. Mazel tov.
Yesher koach. Thank you, Lev. Now take that. So now I'm going to invite you just to take a deep breath as we get ready for our Torah service. We turn to page 385 for Vayihi bin Soa Haron. I'm going to invite, for those of you who would like to rise, to please do so. I'm going to turn to the 385 myself. Vayihi bin Soa Haron, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, V'yafutzu oivecha, V'yanusu misanecha, mipanecha, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah HaTorah, Baruch shenatan Torah HaTorah, Le'amo Yisrael, v'hikdu shahato. We turn to page 393 as we respond as Noah leads the call.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kedosh Shema.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Ladonai iti, Unero mima Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, ve'hagevuhu והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, המתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להר קדשו כי קדוש. Adonai Eloheinu. So friends, you may be seated. In a moment, we are going to be chanting from the Torah. During the pandemic, I've been serving as the Gabbai Rishon, as a way to just help keep things a little bit more focused and organized. I've spoken a great deal about the Torah portion this morning. So I'm not going to say much more, except that we get to hear a completely different aspect of this Torah portion. One, as I mentioned earlier, is complicated, that Noah has bravely taken on and will be giving her perspective. I do want to invite you, as you hear Noah read the first Aliyah, if you attune your ears, you will be able to hear the priestly blessing itself. This idea, the one thing I'll say is that the priest would be the vehicle, and through their hands, the sense of almost a way where, like electricity, the divine could move through. And so I like this idea of being able to exchange and support each other with this energetic ideal of care and support. And when we kind of say, I want to give you some good energy, it doesn't have to be so metaphorical. Our ancestors understood it in a very direct way that come from this morning's portion. So we will have family members who will be called up for their aliyot this morning, all in this room. And so we invite you to follow along. And I think that we're good. So I'm going to invite us to find where we're going to start from.
Easy to find. Yep.
You get, I got it. Great. I'll put this here. V'yazor v'yagain v'yoshir l'chol chachosim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol havu godel Eloheinu utna kavod la Torah. May God help, protect, and save all who seek refuge in the divine shelter. And let us all say amen. Ya'amod lev chaim bat Pesya v'wil aliyah harishona. Please rise. Levi, Noah's brother, for the first aliyah. You'll find the Torah Blessings on page 399.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach. Wait. Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch et Adonai. Wait.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kervanu la'avodato v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch et Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Daber el Aharon ve'el banav le'mor. Ko tebarechu et b'nei Yisrael. Amor lachem. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha v'ya'er Adonai penav elecha v'huneka v'yisa Adonai penav elecha v'yasem leha shalom v'sam'u et shemi al b'nei Yisrael Va'ani avarachem.
Should give this to you to mark where she finished. If you'll point for your brother.
Ended there.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chai olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach. And if you'll stay up here to witness the next aliyah. Ta'amod, Pesha Bat Pinchas, please rise. Amy and Will Robertson for the second aliyah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Limo Yisrael Bikdushato.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirvanu levodato v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayahi b'yom kalot Moshe lehakim et hamishkan vayimshach oto vayukadesh oto v'et kol kelav v'et hamizbeach v'et kol kelav Vayimshachim vayukadesh otam vayakrivu nesiei Yisrael Roshei Beit Avotam Hem nesiei hamatot Hem ha'omdim al hapokudim Vayavi'u et korbanam lifnei Adonai shesh eglot tzav u'shnei asar bakar agala al shnei hanesi'im v'shor le'echad vayiten otam lifnei hamishkan.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Great. And you can be seated if you want. So it's yours, so I don't wanna- Noah, we're going to call you up for your aliyah. You ready?
Yes.
Ta'amod, Noa Yael Bat Pesya Will Lalia Brita Mitzvah Baruch Shenatan Torah Liamo Yisrael Bikdushato. Do you want to mark with your talit where you're going to start?
I don't know.
Right here.
Yes. Oh, there.
And then
Mark
you
it
say
in
the blessing.
with your talit.
Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kervanu lavodato v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor kach meitam v'hayu la'avod et avodat ohel moed Benatata otam el haleviim ish kepi avodato. Vayikach Moshe et ha'agalot be'et ha'bakar vayikten otam el haleviim.
You take your seat.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
You can close it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet b'hayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher koach. And yesher koach to her trope tutor.
Yes.
Great job. Noah, first we're going to say a blessing for healing, and then there'll be a special blessing for you. You're more than welcome if you want to take a seat for the blessing for healing to do so. So friends, if there are folks that you would like to add into the chat for whom we want to pray a refuah shlema, prayers for healing of body, mind, and spirit, I invite you to put their names in now. And then this prayer for healing, which Will composed, has a call and response as a part of it. And so I invite you to join in as well. I'm going to invite Noah for you to return to your podium. And we have a special blessing for you at this moment that I'd like to invite your grandparents, Jamie and Laura, to offer you. If you look in the camera so you can see them. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Noah, we say this blessing with love for you. May you live to see your world fulfilled. May you be our link to future worlds. And may your hope encompass all the generations yet to be.
May your heart conceive with understanding. May your mouth speak wisdom, and your tongue be stirred with sounds of joy.
May your gaze be straight and sure, your eyes be lit with Torah's lamp, your face aglow with heaven's radiance, your lips expressing words of knowledge, and your inner self alive with righteousness.
And may you always rush in eagerness to hear the words of one more ancient than all time.
Amen.
Amen.
You want to say something? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. That really meant a lot to me.
So Noah, this isn't just a life cycle moment for you, but it's a life cycle moment for your parents. And so I want to invite both of them to come up for this blessing. And Levy, if you'll come and join them too. In a moment, there's going to be, we're going to hear some words of Torah from Noah. We're also going to then say many things about Noah and this experience. But before then, and before doing this blessing, I just wanted to reflect, particularly with your parents here, Amy and Will, just what is obvious to our community, which I hope your parents know, is how talented and skilled and wise and creative that both of you are in your own ways. And it is not always the pairing that happens when people are so talented and skilled that they're also, which I think is even more important, incredibly kind, compassionate, thoughtful, and often making room for other people's talents and skills. And so just wanted to witness that in front of your parents, to have, so that they may have some of the same joy that I know that you have for Noah in this moment. And for us as a community to really deeply recognize that to have a family life cycle and be a professional in synagogue life sometimes means not to be able to fully step into who you are as parents or people, and really want to, as you hear this blessing, inhabit that space and just know how deeply appreciative I am of all of the things that you've done for so many, including me. I would say that the five of us deal with sentimentality really well. I may be the one who deals with it best, which would be really surprising. Actually, it is probably Will, would be my guess. But there are no words for sentimentality. Offering you this blessing. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah Rachel Hu Yivarech. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, bless Amy and Will, parents of Noah. May they be guided when to pull their daughter close and when to let her go. May they find a way to honor her for the child that she still is and for the adult that she is becoming. Grant them joy to celebrate her successes and guide them to support her when she is challenged. Grant Will and Amy, along with Noah and Levi, a length of days, so that they may all rejoice together in happiness and peace. And let us all say, Amen. I'm going to invite us to receive the priestly blessing in this moment as well. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishvarecha, kein yehi ratzon. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yikuneka, kein yehi ratzon. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, kein yehi ratzon. May God bless you and protect you. May God's face shine upon you and show you grace. And may God's face turn towards you and bring you peace. Kein yehi ratzon.
Rabbi Josh.
Yes.
But it is not just a life cycle for Noah, and it is not just a life cycle for us. It is a life cycle for you. As this is Rabbi Josh's last life cycle as the senior rabbi of Congregation Beit Chavirim, we wanted to offer you a blessing as well. It says in the Torah that we should be a nation of priests and of holy people. And you really have created a nation of priests within our community. And so I want to invite our community out in Zoom land to try to do this Vulcan. It actually is from Jewish tradition. It's not originally from Star Trek. But I'm inviting you to hold your hands up and offer this blessing to Rabbi Josh, the priestly blessing that he just offered to us. And one more tradition about the priestly blessing. You said before sometimes it's hard for Jewish professionals to be fully themselves in the community. all the more so for a rabbi. And there's actually a tradition that when you're receiving this blessing, you don't look at the person who's giving it to you. So I'm going to invite you to look at the screen and then turn around while you're receiving the blessing. And you can have space to, you don't have to worry about the expression on your face. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
May your kindness and courage be the rule and not the exception, and may we guard it. May new opportunities continue to glimmer before you, and may you always know which ones to take. And may your passion and curiosity lead you to a place of wholeness.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Friends, before Noah gives some words of Torah, we're going to lift the Torah and turn to page 407. If I can get your help dressing. For those who would like to rise, please do so. V'zot HaTorah asher HaMoshe Lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achiot gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yadadai, yadadadadadadai. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yadadai, yadadadadadai. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet kulanu yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet kulanu yachad. So Noah, we have an opportunity to hear some of your wisdom. Just going to invite you to take a breath and to also remember to speak slowly and clearly so that we can hear every word.
Shabbat Shalom. First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming. This is a big moment in my life, and even though we can't see each other in person, I'm so glad you're here for this special day. Thank you to Rabbi Josh and Rabbi Gottfried for all the help of preparing for my bat mitzvah and being there in times when we weren't. I would like to thank all of my camp friends for being my home away from home people. I would like to thank my brother, Levi, for making me laugh, having funny conversations, and being an amazing role model. I would like to thank my B'nai Mitzvah class and anyone else who is going through this hardcore journey. I would like to thank my dad for being an amazing, hard-working, beautiful voice person. I'm so glad I have him to keep me safe from all the thunderstorms. Thank you to my grandmama and Santos for coming in person. It means a lot to me. I'd like to thank my mother for giving me life and giving me all the support that I need and teaching me my aliyahs and just being an amazingly kind person. My mom has been such an amazing person for her whole life, and I'm so glad I am her daughter. I wouldn't change it for the world. I love you, Mommy. Today, I become a woman. Lately, as I've been preparing for my bat mitzvah, which marks becoming a Jewish adult, I've been thinking a lot about feminism and women's history. In this Jewish community, women have an equal rights and an equal voice and are respected. But that's not true everywhere. In the words of Meredith Grey, in group settings, men are 75% more likely to speak up than women. And when a woman does speak up, it's statistically probable her male counterparts will either interrupt her or speak over her. In biblical times, the status of woman was even worse. My Torah portion, Parsha Naso, describes a situation where a husband who suspects his wife of committing adultery can publicly shame her to prove whether she deserves to be punished for being unfaithful. If a fit of jealousy comes over him, the man brings his wife to the priest. The priest takes holy water in a clay vessel and dust from the floor of the tabernacle and puts it into the water. Then he loosens the hair of her head and curses her and makes her swear that if she has gone astray while married to her husband and defiled herself, then when she drinks these bitter waters, she will be cursed, and her belly will swell and her thigh will sag. But if she hasn't gone astray and defiled herself, then she will not be punished. She will be cleared by the bitter waters, and she will be able to conceive a child. I have a lot of questions and concerns about this ritual. Why can a man put his wife through this just because he feels jealous? People feel jealous for a lot of reasons. Feeling jealous does not mean someone else has done something wrong. Furthermore, why is the jealous husband allowed to accuse his wife? Why is only the jealous husband allowed to accuse his wife? What if she suspects him of committing adultery? It seems to me that the husband has more power in the relationship and more authority over her, and he is permitted to publicly humiliate her based on his suspicion. A marriage is not just one person, and the husband has some responsibility for the marriage not working well. So what is this ritual really about? In the 5 Books of Miriam, a Jewish feminist commentary on the Torah, they explain this ritual is designed to appease the husband's jealousy. In this special case, the focus is on the husband's feelings. The husband brings for her an offering of barley flour, designated as a meal offering for jealousy. What he's purging from his consciousness is not his wife's sin, but the memory of his own suspicion of that sin. What the ritual is addressing is not the wife's passion, but his own. According to this interpretation, the ritual is designed to make him feel better, even as it makes his wife feel terrible. I think this ritual is unreasonable. The description in the 5 Books of Miriam continues. This ritual is appallingly unfair to women, because even if she's proven innocent after going through this whole awful ordeal, the Torah still lets her husband off the hook. As it's written, the man shall be clear of guilt. But if she's proven guilty, the woman shall suffer for her guilt. Why does she have to suffer if she's sinned while her husband faces no penalty if he's falsely accused her? In my opinion, there shouldn't be a punishment at all. And if there is, at least let her share it with her husband. If the husband suspected she cheated and then found out she did not, then he should be the one feeling guilty and have a punishment. But the last verse of this chapter in the Torah says, "The man shall be clear of guilt, but that woman shall suffer for her guilt." There's such a double standard here. Even the rabbis in the 1st century outlawed this ritual because of the unequal relationship. They recognized that the husband shouldn't be allowed to break apart the marriage based on his jealous nature. This ritual goes way too far in trying to remove the guilt from the husband who had a fit of jealousy. In ancient times, many things were different than they are now. Marriage was different. There seems to be an idea that women were a kind of possession of their husbands and unequal to men. This lack of women's independence has followed us quite closely into today's modern world. In addition, the Torah is silent on the topic of same-sex couples and doesn't acknowledge same-sex partnerships at all here. If you try to apply this whole mindset that married women are to be possessed by their husbands to a same-sex couple, the mindset kind of explodes. In a similar way, our community learns so much from same-sex couples because they don't necessarily inherit a default division of responsibilities or expected roles for each of them in the household. Can we learn from modern same-sex couples how to have more equal relationships? Maybe. In modern marriages, there can still be one partner who is overcome by jealousy, but there's no law or ritual in modern Judaism that allows one person to act on those feelings in a way that harms the other person in the relationship, which I am personally very happy about. I'm glad that I am becoming a woman today in modern Jewish times. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel
Mazel
tov.
tov,
Mazel tov, mazel tov, sippin' tov, sippin' tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, sippin' tov. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Just want to be clear, as Josh Udovin said, we shouldn't crinkle the candy. Will admonished me immediately as after he handed me the candy. So Noah, Yisher Koach. We want to invite some folks to offer some words to you after tackling a really challenging part of your Torah portion, but also offering some insight, and I think some insight particularly from perhaps what it means to grow up in this particular community. I'll say more about that in a few moments. But first, as a representative of our school community, our congregation, and also a member of our chorus, and somebody who will be hearing her voice singing later in the service, I'd like to invite Shana Cohen to offer you some words. And if you look over there, you'll see her as she wishes you some words of blessing. Shabbat Shalom, Shana. Good to be with you.
Thank you, Rabbi Josh. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Shabbat Shalom, Noah. Mazel tov on a beautiful job with your Torah reading and your Dvar. It is my great pleasure to be able to present you today with a gift from the parents of the CBH Community School. The Tanakh that you have with you today, or hopefully have with you today, you have it somewhere over there. There it is. Thank you, Rabbi Josh. That Tanakh is a compilation of the Torah, the Book of Prophets, and the Book of Writings. And it's our way as parents of wishing you well as you leave the school in which you have invested so many Sundays over the years, learning about prayers through Family Minyan, and engaging with Jewish ideas and values alongside of your teachers and your fellow students. Since you and my daughter, Talia, are in the same grade, I really got to watch you go from a kindergartner to a teenager. And through it all, your caring heart, bubbly laugh, and unique perspective on life have remained the same. I always looked forward to seeing your family at school every week. And I have to say, it was especially sweet to get to watch your mom and dad show up in a CBH space and much, if not all the time, just get to be parents, your parents. So back to the Tanakh. The Tanakh is also our way of really honoring all of the work that you have undertaken to prepare for today, your Bat Mitzvah. And it expresses our hope that you will continue to look for ways to learn about Judaism and explore what Judaism means to you. Contribute the best of yourself to it, and in doing so, create a place in our evolving tradition that is uniquely your own. I hope you will always remember that you will always be an important part of the CBH family. We share your family's pride in witnessing you become a Bat Mitzvah today, and we hope that your next chapter of Jewish learning is also full of joy and laughter. Mazel tov, and thank you.
Yisher Koach, Mazel Tov. Thank you, Shana. I'm going to invite your parents, Amy and Will, if you want to come and offer. I'll let you open it when I speak.
Noah. So about 13 years ago, this same group of us, our family with Rabbi Josh and Grandmama there in the congregation, we stood together on the bima for your naming. You slept for the first part and then screamed so loudly for the second part that to this day, I do not know what Rabbi Josh blessed you with. He asked me on that day to talk about why we named you Noah Yael. The truth is, I chose Noah because I liked the sound of it. the shape of it in my mouth, the round edges of it. And even before you were born, I could sort of picture you, and you looked like your name was Noah. I pictured your olive complexion and your brown hair, and I remember worrying at the last minute that if you came out looking like your brother, blonde and fair, then I had named the wrong baby. But sure enough, it was you, the Noah I pictured. Daddy chose the name Yael, actually based on a misunderstanding of the word. He thought it was a statement that Yah, which is the name of God, is the same as El, another name of God. So he thought it was like saying the Shema. Actually, the word means wild mountain goat.
A little off.
But you can't say these things at a baby naming. So when Rabbi Josh asked me to talk about the meaning, I talked about the root of the word Noah and how it comes from the verb to sway, like a tall tree that moves in the breeze, and how that movement lets it endure strong winds without breaking. And I talked about the woman Yael in Judges 4, who captures the captain of the enemy army by giving him warm milk, tucking him into sleep, and then hammering a tent peg into his head. Your name has movement and flexibility and so much power. And I feel today like this name chose you, even if Daddy and I didn't quite know why we picked it. I've been reading over, as you know, the old blog I kept from when you and Levy were young. And there are two strands about who you are as a person that came out so strongly from day one. First, you just have this way of being part of creation that is really like a tree in the breeze. You're in tune with everything around you. You are totally connected to it. Even when you were very little, adults would love to hang out with you just to ask you what you were looking at and notice whatever you were noticing. I remember some random stressful evening at home and Daddy saying he couldn't handle being around people anymore. Even me, no offense. Except Noah, he said. I'm going to go hang out with Noah. And more than once, I remember feeling disconnected and just kind of blurry after helping care for someone who had died. And I came home and it was looking directly into your eyes that kind of jolted me back into the world. You have a grounding power. Most famously, though, many people here know that we have a huge Japanese magnolia in our front yard that you started calling the God tree from a very early age. And everyone I know has grasped onto that name like manna from heaven because there is something true about it that none of us could quite see until you showed it to us. You showed us the grandeur and mystery and accessibility of that tree, and you called it God. So that was one thing. The other strand of your personality that came out early was raw power. And that came out mostly as screaming. See above story about your baby naming. You had many nicknames related to the deep jazz singer wail that you had. We called you Noah the Snowblower because you drowned out everything. And Noah Tzipora because you squawked like a bird. You would lay on the floor and scream and kick your feet, and we'd call you Noah Maccabee because your heels were like little hammers against the floor. I used to put pillows under your feet so you didn't bruise them. So now that you are in the most confusing time of life, middle school, I want you to remember these two gifts and these two needs that you have and that have always been part of you. Last night we had dinner at this lovely rooftop patio, and all of us remarked how much more wind there was up there. And as you grow in body and spirit, there will be more wind pressing you every which way, like a tall tree. And I want you to remember that you have deep roots to ground you, and you are built to endure this. You don't have to fight the wind. And whether or not you're ready, you are already a spiritual teacher. Sorry. You have a power to see godliness in the universe that, frankly, most people do not have. As you grow, you will see more, and we need you to tell us about it. Secondly, you have power and passion in you. And I'll be honest, power and passion can make people uncomfortable. And as someone who's really attuned to the people around you, I know you don't want to make people uncomfortable. I'm not suggesting that you lay on the floor and kick and scream. But that force is an essential part of you, And while we may not know what to do with it quite yet, you can't just cut it off. It may flow up and out like lava, or rush down like a river, or it might nurture you like tree sap, but it has got to flow because that is how God made you. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of your power and your might. The world needs all of it. I love you.
I love you too. Oh, another one.
Another one. Mazel tov, Noah. You did it. You put an amazing amount of work into your bat mitzvah, and it went great. Your devar was insightful, even working in a Grey's Anatomy reference. You chanted your trope beautifully, and you've helped improve the lives of several dogs and families with your Tikkun Olam project. And I hope you can feel the love for you coming from all across the country. I'm so proud of you, and you should be so proud of yourself. There's more.
Oh.
I want to offer a few thoughts to you. Clearly, Mommy and I did not coordinate tightly on this because I was going to say, I remember one day when you were little that I was in a grumpy mood. This is a well-known story here. Your mom asked me what was going on, and I told her everyone was irritating me, and I just wanted to go hang out with Noah. And even back then, you had a talent for empathy and ease and the ability to help care for people, as your mom just said. Tuning into people's feelings like that is a superpower. Not everyone is able or willing to do that like you can, and it's something you've always been able to do, and that's still true today. And the flip side of that is that it's sometimes easier to get carried away in someone else's drama, or put others' feelings before yours, or you could end up acting a part that you don't really feel. And as you have learned, if you give in to any of those, it's easy to run into trouble. But you have been learning to stay centered in who you are, and I think you've gotten really good at staying both empathetic and anchored. And I can see this so clearly when I see you caring for others, whether babysitting in the before times, and hopefully again soon, thank you, Pfizer, or caring for the string of dogs that we've hosted in the last 6 months. I've watched your warmth and loving character intersect with strength, confidence, and clarity. And these are going to be important traits for you if you want to go into medicine. You're entering an amazing and tumultuous time in your life, and I hope that you can hold on to both of these traits, both the caring and the strength. There have been some pretty hard times over the last few years, and especially this last year. But the upside of that is that you have a head start in knowing yourself, centering yourself, and finding your own light. So Noah, I want to close by singing a song that I wrote for you. It's inspired by part of your Torah portion, which contains the priestly blessing. May the Lord bless and keep you. And it's also on your talit. We've heard it a few times today already. And that's the name of this song, Bless and Keep You. It asks for blessing and protection for you, and a hope that you'll know joy and grace and peace, and that you stay tuned into your own inner strength and light. And for you to always remember that as you go into the big wide world of your future, there's always a light to help you find your way home. So bear with me a minute while I set this up.
Bear with me.
Bear with one.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. I mean, you can be scared, but... Let's see this. May the spirit that surrounds us and nurtures all our dreams bless and keep you underneath her wings. May she open up your eyes to see the joy that living brings, and bless and keep you underneath her wings. Bless and keep you safe and whole and warm. Bless and keep you sheltered in the storm. When the night is at its darkest and you're holding on till dawn, may you know grace and know that you are strong. The light that you've been seeking was inside you all along. May you know grace and know that you are strong. May you know grace, and may the source of all that's known lift her face and light your way back home. Oh, and the big wide world is calling, and it's time to fly away. May you find peace as you travel on your way. 'Cause who you'll be tomorrow starts with where you go today. May you find peace as you travel on your way. May you find peace and truth and love and light. May you know grace, and may the one who lifts the night lift her face and light your way back home and bless and keep you, King Yehi Ratzon.
How are you doing?
Overjoyed.
That makes a lot of sense to me. One of the things that I often find my role, alongside the rabbi stuff, is to kind of work with kids to be able to do some of the things their parents say don't do. So you can open the book as you've been wanting, and no, in some ways, that has been a big part of our connection. While one of my favorite parts about the Brit Mitzvah process is that I get to know our kids better in a particular way, and it's really important for me in our community that we actually see kids as autonomous human beings and not just extensions of their family. And so I like this moment, particularly as your mom reflected, that can be really challenging for there to be another trusting and open adult to be another witness and presence to children's strength, particularly at a time when sometimes parents can't always see that piece as clearly, and to be able to offer that reflection. However, there are always a handful of kids, for a variety of reasons, for whom my connection relationship start earlier. And so when you have two parents, not just one, but two parents who have worked at the community, it means that you, Noah, were at the congregation much more than many of the other kids, which meant that you and I got to spend a great deal of time together. And so I feel particularly connected and have seen you grow from that moment. And I too was reflecting on your baby naming. In fact, we shortened it because your voice, that is the power that your screaming had. And so when your mom asked, what was my blessing for you? And looking back over this time, I imagine it was turn those cries into laughter. Because when I think about it, Noah, you are one of the people that I have laughed with most. Many appropriate times, and then unfortunately, even including in this service, that there is a way where that sense of joy that you can tap into is effervescent and overflows. So I want to say that I have really deeply appreciated our connection because there is fewer people who will go along with my kind of storytelling and improbable realities that I will share, and you will jump in and accompany me, and you might take a moment, and then you'll realize I'm joking, but you'll go along with the joke, and we will continue to embellish it and develop it, doing ridiculous things. sometimes, as I learned, to only do once, but in the middle of services during a Misha Berach blessing, as we created a list of names of people for whom I was certain that there were in the world who needed healing. But I appreciate that we have been able to go on adventures. Whether it was, as we were reflecting this morning in Philadelphia, where I wanted to give your parents a break, and so I took your brother and you out to breakfast, where you were delighted to find on the menu that the owner of the restaurant had a daughter named Noah, and so one of the specials was the Noah special. And while you were so thrilled, you declined the healthy omelet named after his daughter and chose the chocolate chip pancakes. And then when both of you asked, can we have chocolate milkshake? I said, yes, but don't tell your parents. To which it took maybe only 2 minutes for us to reunite with your parents when you blurted out, we had milkshakes, because in some ways you couldn't live with that kind of guilt of keeping a secret. And so, Noah, I love that your emotions and your feelings are transparent. The kind of sensitivity that both your parents spoke of is a rare gift. And alongside what your dad said, one of the things that I'm very aware of is that when you are so attuned both to your feelings and the feelings of other people, it can be overwhelming. There is a way, as somebody who also sometimes can feel very deeply what is happening with other people, it's really important to understand that you have to continue to put your own sense of care and protection at the center of that moment. It's a beautiful gift, but not only can it lead you into problems, as your dad was saying, but sometimes it just means that we take on too much. And we can trust, just as you are resilient and strong, we can trust that other people have that strength too. It doesn't mean that your kind, caring desire to be supportive won't matter. It just means that you always have to check in with what it is that you need alongside what others need. Hafiz wrote this poem, and I saw it and I thought of you immediately, and I saved it for today. It says, very much in lines with the words that your mom offered about who we've known you to be, this deeply spiritual conduit. It says that every child has known God, not the God of names, not the God of don'ts, not the God who ever does anything weird, but the God who knows only 4 words and keeps repeating them, saying, come dance with me, come dance. And so I thought it was really beautiful that your mom spoke about the meaning of your name, because Noah does mean movement. It does mean to sway, whether it's like the trees. There is a way that you are connected to a deep part of the dance of life. And I love that whether it's with the shin or that there are moments where you can just check in with God. I love your irreverent humor by saying, no, I'm not dead yet. And letting us know and reassure us that your authentic self-expression is beautiful and is appreciated. And so I want to offer these words that were written by Deepak Chopra, another spiritual person, who says that, remember, Noah, in our innermost being, we are all completely lovable because spirit is love. Beyond what anyone can make you think or feel about yourself, your unconditioned spirit stands, shining with a love that nothing can tarnish. So when you're at your best, that is who you are and what you beam out to others. And I hope that this is a moment, even though it was very different than we all expected, that you'll be able to turn to and remember all of these people and so many more are here surrounding and celebrating what that love can look like and how that you can bring your own spiritual vision and message to the world. Little just addendum is one of the things that I said when I was at a time when more and more straight families were moving into Beit Chaverim. As I said, I have a vision that we get to a place in our community where people are transparent about how their relationships work. That there may be a way where the strengths that same-sex couples have to deal with in negotiating the uniqueness of their relationship, often by looking at people's strengths and skills and talents and desires, rather than preconditioned gender roles. Little did I know that I would hear it from one of our students reporting it back to the congregation. And I love that somehow that you offered the Torah that I have been deeply hoping for our community, that what's most important is that we end up in relationship with people who honor and see who we are, and that we do the work that you call us to do, Noah, to deconstruct the kinds of rigid expectations that even today, even in a place where women are independent, even still, in a place where where men are invited to share more of their feelings, that there is a deeper way where we can be with one another and be in relationship that is about honoring that spirit of love that each and every one of us deserve to have reflected in our lives. I wish it for you in many different ways. I want to say I'm so proud of you, Mazel Tov, and thank you for being my friend and my office partner in all many different ways. Yesher koach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mazel Tov. So friends, we are going to work to the conclusion of our service. If you turn to page 441, you will find Eitz Chaim Hi. We'll chant this as I wrap the Torah in her talit. Eitz Chaim Hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tom cheha me'ushar, racheha Noam lechon nativoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. We turn to page 445 for the Elenu. Please rise and spirit our body as we join together. Elenu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liyotzeh breshit, shenatan lanu Torah hatemet, v'chaye olam nata v'tochenu. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Kakatu v'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech ol kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. So friends, you may be seated. One of the songs that Noah asked if we could incorporate into her Brit Mitzvah service was the song Pulse. I wanted to put it before the prayer for the end of hiding, which is a prayer that is particularly important to our community, in part because Pulse was written by Melissa Etheridge after the tragic shooting at the Pulse nightclub, deeply affecting transgender and queer folks in Florida. But the message from that moment, which I believe that we try to do at our best, is take a deep moment of trauma and pain and go back to what connects us really powerfully to the essential truths that sometimes we forget in these moments of pain, which is the simple lesson that everyone has a pulse, that there is a humanity that needs to be recognized and celebrated. And the point of this prayer, even though it came from a particular experience of the gays and lesbians who founded the congregation, ultimately wanted to offer a spiritual vision that recognizes the authenticity of every person, that everybody's pulse and presence matters. And so much of what we have said today, I think, enhances that message. And so I want to invite us just to connect and honor each other's presence and spirit as we move to gallery view and listen to these words sung by the CBH chorus.
Everybody's got a pain inside, imaginary wounds they fight to hide. How can I hate them when everybody's got a pulse? I dream in a world that wants my soul, that tells me if I hate, I can control. But I don't believe it, I cannot conceive it, 'cause everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse. Once again I hang my head to cry. I can't find a reason why they died. We will find the answer, blowing in the wind, but everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, yeah, everybody's got a pulse. Who you gonna hate now, when there's no one left but you? Who you gonna gun down if you can't kill the truth that's inside of us? It's inside the blood, it's inside the pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win, 'cause underneath the skin, everybody's got a pulse.
So please join me as you find the prayer in the chat and saying the prayer for the end of hiding. As LGBTQ Jews, we are aware of the loss of integrity we suffer due to pressures of the larger society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves to ourselves and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something that they are not, The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to win larger acceptance. Both are victims of a theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, gender-identifying, or religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draw to an end. We no longer feel we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to renounce ourselves, and that our fullest creative expression as Jews and as lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and queer people be among the blessings you bestow upon us. Amen. So friends, before we just have a couple more prayers, I want to give some brief announcements, and kind of doing this off the top of my head, so bear with me. The first thing that I feel like we would be very remiss in saying is, if you enjoyed Pulse and much of the other music, please, if you have not yet listened to our congregation's newest album, Red Thread, we would love for you to connect and celebrate with our music. You can find information about our music on our website. I'm sure Gayan will pop in a link to help me out in this moment. So sorry to put you on the spot, but it truly is wonderful and an expression of our community and really of Will Robertson. And so take a look at that. I want to point to June 11th, which will be a special Friday night service. Most of you in our congregation have had an opportunity, or many of you, some of you have had an opportunity to meet Rabbi Dale briefly at a service earlier this month. But June 11th, our new interim rabbi will be leading services, and will be an opportunity to deeply welcome and celebrate her, and really excited for the journey of self-discovery and opportunity for you to work with her in this coming year. I really want to strongly encourage people to show and support her and start this process from a place of strength. This Sunday night, tomorrow at 7 p.m., there'll be an opportunity to toast and roast me, and so I hear. I can't say much more because I don't really know anything, so I will be surprised, like many of you. What I do know is that many people have been working very thoughtfully and diligently on this, and it should be a wonderful evening, and I'm looking forward to spending it with you, and just want to offer my sense of deep gratitude for all of the energy that has gone into being able to transition and say goodbye well, and so thank you. And for guests, by saying goodbye, it means in the position of senior rabbi, I will still be in the background, peripherally, in support as emeritus in a couple different ways. So it's not a complete goodbye, but it is a big shift of roles and changes. And so if anybody else has announcements that are important, I invite you to put them in the chat. I imagine that we in this room know all that there is that we need to know and where we're supposed to be. And the last thing I just want to say personally to you, Noah, that I meant to say earlier, and seeing you joyfully read the chat and being very excited about what people are saying. One of the things I think is so notably different about you than your parents, and I love it about you, and I've loved being able to offer you praise and insights about you as I've gotten to know you, and you are somebody who loves it unabashedly. You have two parents who are incredibly humble for the creativity, talents, and skills that they have, but you are somebody who I have seen in really appropriate ways unabashedly love people's joy and expression of positivity directed your way. And so I just wanted to, as people put in the chat, I hope that you take some time when we're able to send it to you and really read them in and take it in for you. Friends, we begin our conclusion with Mourner's Kaddish on page 451. Ask those who are in a period of ritual mourning or observing a yortzeit to please rise. I invite you to put in the chat the names of those that we honor with this prayer. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, bagalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'alam omei almaya, Barach v'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'tromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom imromav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Please be seated. Would like to invoke the feeling and spirit of Camp Havaya, a place that has been an important place for the Robertsons. We are going to be singing Adon Olam on 459, Camp Havaya style. And I'm going to invite the possibility of bringing on some of Noah's camp friends onto Spotlight so that she can see you as we sing this together. And Noah, you're more than welcome to come over here if you want to see them closely, but you have to sing.
Okay.
Here's the page.
Hi.
459.
No, like the paper with the text on it.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, I have it. Sorry.
All right, I'll give you you can use my prayer book.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ah.
A lot of words. Got it?
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So friends, before you leave, just wanted to let you know, we're going to say Kiddush and Motzi. There's going to be a video with amazingly cute pictures of Noah as a small child. And then for folks who'd like to stay and unmute and offer your well wishes, please do so. I'm going to invite Noah and Lev to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. I can take that. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Te'avon.
The Te'avon. You tear a piece?
You guys want some? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Santos, what about you?
Yeah, I'll try some.
Okay.